bless you. This is a test. God bless you. Those of you who have been with us since the first Sunday of Lent, this has developed into a series of sermons. For those of you who are here for the first time during this Lenten season, I'm from North Carolina and I love basketball. So I entitled this series for the first Sunday of Lent, Journey to the Tournament. But based on the Bible, how Jesus, the first sermon was how he started his journey by being baptized, and how he turned water to wine. Then on last Sunday, with that same analogy in mind, we call it Championship Week, Palm Sunday, when he marched into Jerusalem. And I was catching another interpretation as he was coming in from one way to the city. The Roman authority was coming in another way. The Roman authority was riding on their horses with their military might. Jesus was riding in on a colt or an ass, a sign of humility and humbleness. And people praised him, and I challenged you, the congregation that was with me last Sunday, to walk each day with the Lord. Monday, what happened Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Monday, Thursday, Friday, Good Friday. Some of you may have gone and heard the 7 last words. And this morning, as we come to the end of this series of sermons, and thinking about the Final Four being in Atlanta, Georgia, I'm going to call this the final game. The final game. And our text read from the Gospel of John, the 20th chapter, and I want you to focus in on verse 19. And it is the evening after Jesus got up out of the grave. And on the evening of that day, the first day of the week, the doors being shut where the disciples were for fear of the Jews, Jesus came and stood among them and said to them, "Peace be with you." When he had said this, showed them his hands and his side. Then the disciples were glad when they saw the Lord. And I want to use as a subject of the final game, having a resurrection faith. Having a resurrection faith. Appearances are very important. As I looked at the games and how bracketology just gone out of the window. Those who most of us thought were going to be there are home. But all of them had the desire of appearing in the Final Four and making it to Atlanta, Georgia. Appearances are very important. Your appearance here at church on Easter Sunday morning is not to be taken lightly, but it is a testimony to your faith that God did raise his son, Jesus Christ. Jesus, on the other hand, made several appearances in order to prove to the naysayers that he was alive. And the Bible teaches us that he stayed 40 days after the resurrection, appearing to his disciples, appearing to the men on the Emmaus Road, appearing to others that they would know that he is now alive. And throughout Jesus' life, he performed many miracles and demonstrated signs of his power. The greatest sign, of course, is the resurrection. And John provides a stirring eyewitness account of finding the empty tomb. Then he records various post-resurrection appearances by Jesus. Let us examine one of these visible venues. The place is an upper room. It was a private place. The doors were shut. And at this location, the 11 disciples are present, including Thomas. What brought them back together? Because remember, when they were crucifying Jesus Christ, they scattered like scared cats. They scattered because they did not want to be identified with this man called Jesus. Because they felt like that they too would be crucified. Well, what brought them back together? They had been scattered, everyone to his own home. But now they were together again. The one thing that brought them together were the reports and testimonies that they had heard in the morning that Jesus was alive and that he had risen from the dead. You know how the news travel. Help me somebody. You know how folks can tell you in the morning it lasts all day long. Email, cell phone, land phone, direct contact. By this time in the evening had gotten out that Mary Magdalene had gone to the tomb. Are y'all with me? And they could not find him, and his linen cloth was there. The story had gone out that Peter, in his roughest and rough way, had run into the tomb and did not see it. Peter said, I want to see it for myself. He went all the way in and came out. The news had traveled that he is no longer in the tomb. And when you get the news that something has happened, you want to get some more detail, don't you? You want to get more information. You want to see it for yourself. On this occasion, unlike some others where Jesus appeared, the disciples knew him. He was in the midst of them, and he had come in a strange way, supernaturally. Allow me to say this, no matter where you are, you cannot hide from God. Do I need to say that again? No matter where you are, you cannot hide from God. You may be visiting a cemetery, God is there. You may be walking the track field, God is there. You may have gone fishing, God is out there. You may be on the golf course, God is there. You may be in the weight room lifting weights and thinking that you're all by yourself, but God is there. You may be eating at a restaurant, vacationing at a resort. God can get to you wherever you are. And the disciples were hiding behind the door, and supernaturally, don't ask me how, I just believe it. What about you? And God appeared in their presence. Has God ever appeared in your presence when you did not expect him? When you were struggling with the issue, God came to your rescue. And when you were struggling, knowing which way to go, God showed up. When you were broken down on the side of the road, as we saw many yesterday, and God showed up. Have you ever been in a situation that you thought that nobody knew about your time, but God was right there? Now when Jesus comes into our midst unannounced and sometimes unrecognized, he brings us words of faith that we must embrace so that life rises with every resurrection. And this is what we want to do, my friends. You may be in a situation that you want God to put his hands on. You may be in a situation that's down and real down low, and you want to be lifted up. It may be in your own personal life, but God is able to raise any dead situation, any dead relationship. more about what Jesus said to his disciples, that we must have this kind of resurrection faith. Jesus appears to his disciples, and the first word that he said is, peace be with you. Yeah. Peace unto you. The Greek word for peace appears some 93 times in the New Testament. It means a state of tranquility, the opposite of rage and war. The word is related to the Hebrew word shalom, which means the opposite of any disturbance and the tranquility or serenity of God's people. Jesus is our peace. He stood in the midst of the disciples, and he stands with us beyond the tragedy. Check this out, listen to it. He stands with us beyond the tragedy. He stands with us beyond the agony. He stands with us beyond the darkness. He stands with us beyond the sadness. He stands beyond Gethsemane. And he stands beyond Golgotha's hill. And he says peace. Are y'all with me? That all of this stuff is behind us, are you right? All this crucifixion, all of this planting the thorn of crown on his head is behind us. All this is behind Jesus. And if Jesus can say peace, and he's been through all that nonsense. If Jesus can say peace, and you ought to be like that, you can have gone through the roughest time and everything is just out of whack, all upside down, and you can stand and say, peace. That means that you got something on the inside. That means that you've heard a word from heaven. That means that you've been praying somewhere. It means that you've been in church somewhere, hearing the good news of Jesus Christ. Peace be unto you. Jesus gives us the great legacy. These things that I have spoken unto you, that in me you might have peace. In the world you shall have tribulation. But be of good cheer. I have overcome the world. I don't believe there's nobody in here that hasn't had some rough days, some trials and some tribulation. This is Easter Sunday morning. I've been